Okay, so we continue from the last video clip. So the drawings should be coordinated and fabrication with the supplier. So the shop drawings, we are talking about the shop drawings, okay, and fabrication. Uh, this should be coordinated with the supplier. So the contractor should work closely with the fabricator to establish a schedule of shop drawing, production, and fabrication that coincides with the construction activities. The sequence of the construction and timing of the delivery of the material are not always obvious to the fabricator. So, for the fabricator, the ordering of production of fabricated items relates to the availability of raw material, economy of mass cutting, bending, and connecting rather than the construction schedule. The areas of delivery uh, of each material should be established. Establishing organized sub-areas in the storage yard for each major material, such as an area for reinforcing steel, a separate area for structural steel, and so forth, is essential. Mixing material in storage area causes chaos when identifying and retrieving items as the project progresses. So, a discussion with the supplier concerning the timing of the delivery and the material being delivered will help determine how much space to allocate for each material. Uh, the material should be sorted upon its delivery to the job site. The material needs to be sorted as it is unloaded from the truck. Material that is needed first should be most accessible. The material pile should be ordered sequentially for materials that have definite order in the installation. So, for example, next point is allow adequate space for sorting and storage of waste materials. So there was a time when all the construction waste was accumulated and taken to a landfill. Sorting materials is now necessary to economically dispose of the construction waste. Materials should be sorted according to general types such as wood, drywall, metal, and so forth, and then recycled. Adequate provision should be made for sorting, and accumulating in separate bins for major recyclable materials. The storage material should be also protected as necessary. So many materials are sensitive to the environmental conditions and should be adequately protected from rain, snow, and wind, and also heating, freezing temperatures, and other adverse environmental elements. So most materials should be set on pallets or skids to protect them from ground moisture. Some materials can be covered by a tarp or polyethylene sheet. However, moisture has a tendency to condense in some of these conditions. Some materials are inappropriate for outside storage and should be stored either in the facility or a warehouse. So, portable storage trailers can be used to protect material on the job site depending upon the available space. Okay, so this concludes the discussion about the material handling. So now next we will consider about the labor productivity. So as far as the labor productivity is concerned, it is actually quite unpredictable for the contractor. It is because the contractor is held uh, to the estimate. The amount actually estimated for labor will be the budget for the item. If the actual labor equals the amount estimated, the contractor will achieve the estimated profit. If labor cost exceeds the estimated amount, the contractor will not achieve the estimated profit and could possibly be losing money on the project. So concentration for the labor when then should focus on the work task, keeping all the other activities minimal. So when talking about the labor productivity, the focus is made on the non-productive time elements, and those non-productive time elements should be reduced. So what are those non-productive time elements? These are the travel time, and the travel time may be from the gate to the work site. So for example, gate and parking should be close to work site, may possibly move as job progresses, and also the uh, provide transportation to work site, truck, bus, vertical man lift. In high-rise buildings, it may be possible to increase the speed of the man lift with different equipment. The travel time from to the sanitary facilities, provide sanitary facilities close to the work site, relocate the sanitary facilities as job progresses. Travel time for the coffee breaks, provide tables and chairs in the safe area near the work site, provide dry shack near work site, and discourage coffee break. Sometimes it may not be possible due to the labor law restrictions. Uh, Also, the travel time for the lunch, it may include, this can be reduced by providing tables and chairs in the safe areas near the work site, and also dry shacks can be provided. Uh, Travel time, moving the material and asking questions. Uh, it should be also reduced. So, for example, having material located close to the work site, discourage the craftspeople from moving material, uh, provide the project office should be near the work site so that the time spent for asking questions to the superintendent or project managers should be reduced. Walkie-talkies for the crew can be used for communicating with the offices. So the contractor must consider the average quickest way to transport labor for minimum amount of time. So this should be done uh, by following certain suggestions. So one of the suggestion is that separate people and material. Okay, because moving material on vertical lifts takes much more time, particularly in loading and unloading. It is best to separate human transportation from material transportation. So material transportation can be limited to tower cranes or uh, other vertical transportation equipment. So certain parts of each hour could be divided for the travel for the vertical transportation as well. So for instance, worker transportation could be scheduled for 10 minutes at the hour, and at 10 minutes at the hour and 10 minutes at half hour, with the rest of the time 40 minutes for each hour devoted to the material transportation. So this is one of the suggestion. Another suggestion can be that the schedule floor stops. So on taller high-rise buildings, the vertical lift for worker transportation may stop only on every other floor to limit the number of stops and to optimize the cycle time of the lift. If two lifts are used for worker transportation, one may stop more frequently than the other. The second lift may be considered as the express lift. So now after this labor productivity topic, let's consider the equipment constraints. So the equipment constraints also pose certain challenges. For example, the point of delivery. So once the equipment is decided upon, the point of delivery for material will relate to the location and capacity of the equipment. A tower crane commonly used in building construction has considerably more capacity for lifting near the mast than toward the end of the boom. End of the boom. Heavier loads then must be delivered fairly close to the mast and limited to a horizontal lift by the crane. If a forklift is used to transport the material within the job site, the point of delivery should have solid road access from the point of delivery to the installation location. So if lifting of equipment is located some distance from the public road access, sufficient job site haul roads must be made and maintained to accommodate typical delivery trucks. Second point to consider is the site access for people and material. So the gates and access to the site should be oriented to access the work site. A personnel entrance gates should be near uh, personnel lifts if they are selected for the projects. Temporary facilities such as field offices and storage sheds should be accessible to the work site via the site equipment. A sequence of events. The sequence of construction activities, particularly short term, will be determined by the amount of equipment used on the project and equipment scheduling. The type of equipment used and designated traffic patterns on the job site are factors used when determining the schedule of underground utility lines. Location of temporary facilities. The location and properties of the equipment used on the job site will influence the location of temporary facilities. Material storage should have easy access as well as the necessary equipment to facilitate its movement. If a tower crane is used for vertical transportation of material, movement should be facilitated by locating the storage within the reach and capacity of the tower crane. If this is not possible, as is often the case, additional equipment would be necessary for horizontal movement of the material on the job site, such as forklift or a small mobile crane. So these were some factors considered for the equipment. Now let's talk about the site constraints. So site actually controls the layout and the equipment that is used probably more than the any other factor. An urban site may consist of the property being the same size as the building footprint. So in an extremely tight site, such as an urban office building, the contractor needs a great deal of creativity to provide adequate storage, temporary facilities, and equipment. So there are some considerations that can be made for the point of delivery, include the following. So, for example, the traffic patterns uh, should allow easy flow into the onto and off site and avoiding congestion of traffic on city streets. uh, Large enough space, there should be large enough space for all delivery vehicles. Consider length, turning radius, height of truck, load, and onboard loading boom and weight. We will continue this topic in the next video clip.